Hi, welcome to Bluebird Forest Gardens. It's January 10th of 2018 and I wanted to take a little video to inspire people to try to have fresh greens year-round. And so, as I said, it's January 10th and we're still getting fresh greens out of our root cellar, which is here under our little house. You can see the shiny bubble foil insulation that we wrapped around between the posts and piers of our tiny house all the way down to the ground. And there's the little door into the root cellar. We store things in wooden crates and plastic buckets in there. And sometimes when it's really cold in the single digits, we use a heat lamp to keep it warm under there. But usually it's above freezing, right around 33 degrees. And now I'll show you some of the collard greens that have been in there in a bucket for almost a month and a half now. And you can see a few of the outer leaves are turning yellow, but there are some beautiful greens still here to eat. This is what we've been eating every day, and if you harvest enough of these, it really doesn't matter if a few of the leaves are old by the time you get around to eating it. And collards are just one thing that you can store in the root cellar. You could do this with kale leaves or kale plants, apples. Here's cabbages and kohlrabi. Kohlrabi are a lot like cabbage, only they're solid. And then cabbage, green cabbage, white cabbage. And we also, of course, have potatoes and carrots, horseradish, root, all kinds of goodies in the root cellar. And one really important thing in storing those greens is that they be intact, not single leaves. When they're still joined together with the crown, they last a lot longer. And then the other thing is that they need to be out in the garden as long as possible and get dormant. I didn't have to harvest those collards until the end of November. They'd already had some frosts and a lot of cold, dark days that helped them get ready for the hibernation in the root cellar. And I even picked whole barrelfuls of collards this year into these green trash cans. Now here's a trash can that I just stuck upside down over some collards to protect them from the snow and the cold. And look at that. Well, the light isn't very good. Maybe from this angle. Look at the beautiful collard greens there that have been down to 2 above. And you can see there's some frost damage on some of the leaves, but it's going to be pretty good eating, a lot of that. So just tip a bucket or a plastic barrel over it and see what that does. And then we also have an unheated greenhouse here. Here's the other little tiny house. And now I'm going to take us up to the greenhouse and show you what we do with it. We put leeks from the garden. We transplant leeks into the greenhouse. And one important feature of the greenhouse that you can't see is that we have hardware mesh buried underneath it so that the mice can't get in there. And right now, this year we didn't have a lot of leeks, but you can see there in the back the beautiful fresh green leeks there. And then we also have some thistles growing in the front. These are native edible elk thistles. And a little bit of celery and lettuce over there that will hopefully grow a lot next spring. And then another strategy is a cold frame, which is a simple little greenhouse. It's just a pane of glass set over a wooden frame. I used 2x6s here. The problem here is that these were not protected from mice. And as you can see, mice have made tunnels. Mice have eaten off a lot of leaves off of these kale that were in here. It looks like the plants will survive, but come grab the cell. I'm going to hand off the cell phone and plant some garlic in here. So year-round gardening is really what we're doing here. We plant whenever we can. I'm planting some garlic here now, and you can see this right here is a garlic plant that is now sprouting already here in the cold frame where it's warmer. And so my friends and family sometimes ask me, well, are you all through with the garden for this year? And I always, I either groan or chuckle depending on my mood, because I'm never through gardening, and I've heard that question so many times. And the answer is always, well, I'm still gardening. It's always the gardening time of year. And and these same techniques can be applied even if you don't have your own garden. You can make a root cellar spot and store bulk produce from farmers markets or from the store. And then if you ever do get your own garden, you'll know how to store things fresh for fresh eating, and always have some good fresh food to eat.